and I teach third grade here. I taught second grade for 1 year, otherwise I've taught third grade. I've been here for 6 years now, and I student taught here. I did a long-term sub job, taught second grade, and I've been at third grade consistently for 4 years now. This is my 5th, so this is pretty much all I know, teaching-wise. And I have a math teaching degree, so I have a specific interest in math and math teaching. I'm on our district's math curriculum renewal team. Last year, this year, it'll be 3 years. So this is coming into the 2nd year of that. And I just have a particular love for math, so Bob knew right who to come to when this was planned. So I want to take a little time to introduce you to the Everyday Math website and talk to you a little bit about Everyday Math kind of tools for you guys. But I know that we talked to a couple of families when we were talking about planning this, and we said, what is it that you would like to get out of this? And right away families said, oh, I want to know how to do lattice multiplication, or I want to know how to do, different things like that they could think of that their kids have previously struggled with. And we sat down and we talked about that, and we said that isn't the most important thing for parents to know. And that's not the most important way to help your child in math. So you can come in, Auburn. You can come in, hon. That's not the most important way to help your child. And so we sat down and we thought, what can we share with parents that parents are going to feel like they can come home and really help their child with any kind of math that they're doing? Whether it's everyday math, math homework, maybe their child is advanced in math and needs some pushing in that way. Maybe the child is struggling. They're not even doing grade level math. We want to be able to share information with you to be able to help your child no matter what grade, age, or where they're performing, where their needs lie. And so I looked to a really cool handout that we had gotten at our math curriculum renewal team meeting and talked a lot about. And it talked about how we can have conversations about math and how we have conversations with children about numbers, about the work that they're doing, and how we can get kids to resort back to kind of to their thinking what they know to do, and not just sitting down and solving problems for our kids or helping them solve problems. How can we get them to go back and think about, wait, what do I know about this? Let me get myself settled down here. I'm upset. I don't know how to do this. Think about what strategy skills I have and figure this out on my own. Real problem solving. So from this handout that I had that was geared more towards teachers, I made some adaptations on it for you to take home, kind of a little cheat sheet when you're working with your kids in math. And this might be something that your child doesn't have any math homework and you're looking to try to just, do a little bit of extra math. Or maybe your child is doing homework at any age really, and they're having a hard time. These are some questions you can ask them to help them through it. To promote problem solving and assist your child in solving a problem or a set of problems, ask them, what information or facts do you have? A lot of times we'll tell kids if it's a story problem, underline, circle, highlight. You're probably going to see your kids coming home with underlining, circling, highlighting, boxing around things. So figure out what information you do have. Okay? What do you know that isn't necessarily stated? Then what are you trying to find out? A lot of times kids will solve a problem. They'll read something and say, oh, I see 85 and I see 12. So it must be 85 plus 12, and they solve it and add it. When you have them check their work, they say, yep, I added it right. We go back and we say, you weren't supposed to be adding. So for them to be able to figure out, what am I trying to figure out before they begin trying to tackle the numbers or the equation that they've written. What strategies are you going to use? So ask them, what do you know? What strategies do you have from school? And what are you going to use to solve this? Will you do it mentally? Are you going to do it in your head? Are you going to do it on pencil and paper? Are you going to try to use a number line? Do you have anything else at home that you might use? And that might end up being something like their student reference book online, which I'll show you in a little bit. What tools do you need? Are you going to need a ruler? Are you going to need the computer for the website? That kind of thing. What do you think the answer or result will be? So we do ballpark estimates. So estimate. Take a look at this and estimate what might the answer be. How would you describe this problem in your own words? A lot of times that's very helpful. Even if they read it, you read it to them, and then you ask them to use their own words and reword it to you so they truly understand what you're doing before they start a problem. In class, that would eliminate 95% of problems if kids would remember to do that. Have you tackled a similar problem? So at school today, did you do a problem that was similar to this? Can you think back to what you did? And let's start there. Generally, they're always going to be working on that same thing that day. They spent an hour and 15 minutes in class working on that. So when they come home, they should have some sort of idea of what they're doing. And if they tell you they have no idea and they've never seen it, don't believe them. That's not true. Could you try it with simpler numbers first? So work through it. Maybe, if you're using big numbers, you don't know how to do it. Let's try to insert small numbers, figure out what we did, find the pattern, and then try it out again. Fewer numbers, using a number line, putting things in order, will that help? So think about those kinds of questions that you can ask them too. Would it help to create a diagram, a table, a picture? And a lot of times that's extremely helpful for kids to draw pictures, to make tables, charts, that kind of thing, but that's not their instinct. Their instinct is to try to throw some numbers down and solve it. And kids like to draw pictures. So, if you can get them to slow down, draw a picture of what they're doing. If you compared your work with anyone else's, what did they try that day? So maybe they say, well, I was having a really hard time in class and I didn't get this. Well, did you look at someone else's? You were working with a partner, you were working with a group, you watched the class do this. What did they try? Try to bring their memory back that way. So it's very important. The whole big idea of math is for them to be problem solvers. So when you sit down with them and it's time for math homework and they don't know what to do, don't just jump in and say, okay, well, here's how we do it, or here's how I learned to do it, because you're not ultimately promoting problem solving. They're learning, they can come to you and you will take over and help them. So even if it's going to take you for a couple nights, it's going to be a lot better than you sitting there every single night and doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay? And if they're really having a hard time, you can always recommend that they talk to their teacher. You can drop a note to the teacher, because we can, before kids go home that write a couple notes on here. When you get to this point, you're going to have a hard time. I want you to look at this and remember what we did, or remember, that kind of thing. So it's not the most helpful thing if you jump in and just work with your kids, solving the problem for them. Make them think back. Afterwards, if you want to encourage your child, you want to encourage your child to reflect on what they did. That's going to help, especially if it's one where they didn't know, they had to work through some strategies. Afterwards, if you can sit down and just kind of talk about some of the things that they did to try to secure that in their brain for the next time that this comes up. So how did you get your answer? Now that we worked through this, let's talk about what you actually did using your words to get that answer. Does your answer make sense? Is it reasonable? And then why is it or why isn't it? Can you describe the method you used? That's very difficult in elementary school, but it's good to try. Can you explain why or how it works? That's extremely difficult, but it's good to at least try to talk about it. Did you learn any new words today? So in math, kids are constantly being inundated with vocabulary, math vocabulary, academic vocabulary. So if you can talk to kids about a word that they learned, that might have been a new word for them, and they can tell you what it meant, or at least tell you they learned the word and they don't remember, what it meant. That's something good to talk about. What did the word mean? And what was the big idea in your lesson today? Now I know kids come home and you say to them, how was your day? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing. So that's probably going to be hard to do. But, it's worth a shot. So I just want to give this to you as a resource if it's something that you want to think about at home when you're working with your child. And know that even if you don't know exactly how to solve a problem, you see something coming home and you're like, I have never seen this in my life, you can say to them, I don't know this, and I know that you've learned a little bit about it, so we're going to work through this together. We're going to use our problem-solving skills, and we're going to figure out how we do this. So just something there for you to have. I have another sheet I want to talk to you about, the Everyday Math website. How many of you use the Everyday Math website with your child or seen it? And see, as a teacher, every year at the beginning of the year, I demonstrate it, I show, I send home the password a few times. Not this year, but not this year. A little different this year. So it's always kind of, and all of us teachers kind of say that's what we do. So it's a little bit kind of like, oh no, I don't know. We talked to the kids about it. We tried to practice it in the classroom. We have them use the Chromebooks and pull it up. So they should know their logins. They should know how to get in. But that's not always the case. So I want to share this with you. I think that will help a lot of you. Kids will get a login card at the beginning of the year. Have you guys seen your child's login card ever? Okay. I have an example in here. It took me a long time to try to get that on this sheet. To make up a fake child. So it's fake student. I'm not sure if the person at the DAC who does all the data stuff is going to look and say, who is fake student and who put this kid in the computer? It was me. So the example of the card is in the middle there. So you might have seen it taped inside your student's assignment notebook, or maybe on a loose index card that came home. I usually do both for my students. And when we use it, I have a little bit of different math this year in my room. So to get to this website, this is really wonderful because if you're like, how many of you have had a kid that forgets their home link and you're suddenly like, what do I do? It's right on this website. You can go to it, print it out. If your kid's driving you nuts and you want something academic and get out of your, oops, I talk with my hands. I'm sorry. The kids learned in reading today. That's important. Shows that you're, yeah. So you can go on the website. You can do things like print out a home link if your child forgot it at school. They can play math games. There's other activities associated with, no. Other activities associated with the lesson or the current topic that they can play. And there's also the student reference book, and that's what I think you guys are going to find very helpful. There's not only definitions of words, a glossary they can look in, examples of how problems are solved, but the cool part is there's a show me button. So when you get to some difficult things, you can click show me and it actually pulls up an animated video and will show someone solving the problem. So that's what I think is helpful for families or even for kids to know that that's a tool they have when they're talking, through some different ideas they have, to go to that website, look it up, find it, and they should not have a problem getting there. We use it in the classroom. So I just want to show you that now. I think that's something that is important. So it's not even it's more important to know about this than it is to be able to actually solve the problem on your own. So you will go to the school district website and you can go for students and you can see the everyday math, if you can see where my cursor is, and you click on everyday math. That's going to bring up the everyday math website. This is the same website that I log into, that the kids log into. So, and then you'll use their login and their password. So it depends on, I always change mine and have mine be the exact same as what their school username and password is. But you have to go in and actually change each child. So it's probably going to be something similar to what that fake students looks like. So you also can just get to it by going to www.everydaymathonline.com. So I have both of those written down there for you. So you'll enter the username. So this child is test 705, another fake one. And then the password, it's already coming up, is 512 for that child. Okay, have any of you ever seen this page? Okay, so you have to know what unit and lesson your child is on. So you will know that if they have their home link at home because it's going to be written on the top of the home link. Okay? If you don't, I don't know that your child's necessarily going to know exactly what they were on. You'll just kind of have to play around, phone a friend, whatever. Look back on home links that have been returned, kind of thing. Figure out where they were at. I think today I'm thinking about third grade, I think, is on 2-4. So you can see you just click on the unit and then click on the lesson, and it's going to take you right there. So in third grade today, they were learning about parts and total number stories. So here, this is going to have the pages listed of the student reference book where important information would be if you needed it. So here in the lesson pages, they did math journal pages 36 and 37 today in class. So if your child was absent and you know this is the lesson, this is right where you could go. Student reference book, which is the interactive student reference book that we'll talk about, it has that information on 218 and 219. So you know right where to go. And then they did a Math Masters in Class 398 and 406. So you know exactly what they have done, where they have been. If you're looking for a literacy piece to math, it lists some different books that are related to the topic. Words to use. So here's the vocabulary that may have been used right here. So number model and parts and total number story. And here is the home connection piece. So at the beginning of every unit, you get a family letter. So here's just a copy of that. It's the same, it's for the whole unit. So no matter where you click on a lesson, it's going to be the same letter. And the home link for the day is here. So you would just click on English or Spanish, obviously. And any of you with third graders probably saw this as your home link tonight. So you could go ahead and just print that. The box pops up. And you could go ahead and print that. So, or if you didn't want to print it, some parents just make their kids write that all by hand to teach them a lesson, whatever you're going to do. So that is the home link if you need it. Do anytime activities. So these are just different things if you're looking, you know, your kiddo's driving you bonkers. You want something for them to do. And then there's some things over here too. So games, fact practice, fact dash, that sort of thing. And here's the interactive student reference book. This is what I find most helpful that I think you guys will be glad to have. This looks just like their hardcover book that they have in the classroom. This is identical to that, except for this is obviously interactive. So here, you can either go to a page if you know, like on that page it said whatever it was, 219 or whatever, you can just click on that, type right in and hit go. It'll take you there. Or you can use the table of contents or the glossary. So if you want to look, kind of pay attention to maybe what they need help with. Maybe this is, you know, for an older student who's having trouble with something, you can look back on stuff, whatever you want to do. You can figure out where it is and you can go to that page. There's a glossary with all the different terms. It will read to you if you want it to. And the answer key is just answers for problems that are in the book. Oh, what is it doing? So I think I'm going to find, let's see, one. Okay, I'm going to do lattice multiplication because everyone loves that. But my keyboard should pop up. It's not. Go back and get it. So the best part is the part that will show you. Okay, so here, if your child had lattice multiplication as homework tonight, and in third grade, you'll get to that in the middle of the year. It's just one strategy that will teach kids multiplication. So this is not something that I'm 31 and I did not learn this. I think the district, I went to school in the district and I believe the district adopted everyday math. It was called Chicago Math when my little sister was 5 and started school. Got to switch? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I told him I couldn't do it that fast. He knows I like to talk. Really quick. A video.
Let's use the lattice method to multiply 3 times 45. The box with squares and diagonals is called a lattice. Write 45 above the lattice. Write 3 on the right side of the lattice. Multiply 3 times 5 and write the answer in the lattice. Then multiply 3 times 4 and write the answer in the lattice. Add the numbers along each diagonal, starting at the right. 5 equals 5.
Shocking.
1
Wow.
plus 2 equals 3. 1 equals 1. Read the answer.
So that's just an example of what you can do if you're struggling with something for your kids. So it's magic, right? So anyway, I just want you to know that's there, and it isn't important to know exactly how to do everything. It's important to teach your kid how to problem solve and figure it out for themselves. So that's a resource that's there for you. And I hope that's helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.